Hello everyone, my name is Harshad Pawar from SACH Institute of Management Studies. So today my topic for financial management is ratio analysis. So what is ratio? Ratio is the method or process by which relationships of items, groups or of items in the financial statements are computed and presented. Ratio is an important tool of financial analysis. It is used to interpret the financial statements so that the strengths and weaknesses of the firm, its historical performance, and current financial conditions can be determined. Classifications of ratio. First is liquidity ratio, second is capital or structure or leverage ratio, third one is profitability ratio, fourth one is activity ratio. So first we'll be seeing what exactly liquidity ratio is. These ratios analyze the short-term financial position of the firm and indicates the ability of the firm to meet its short-term commitments, current liabilities out of its short-term resources, which are current assets. These are also known as solvency ratios. These ratios, which indicates the liquidity of the firm, are current ratios, liquidity ratio, quick ratio, or asset test ratio. Current ratio. It is calculated by dividing current assets by current liabilities. Current ratio is equal to current assets and current liabilities, where conventionally a current ratio of 2:1 is considered satisfactory. Current assets includes inventories of raw material, work in progress, finished goods, stores and spares, then sundry, debtors, receivable, short-term loan, deposits and advantages, cash in hand and bank, prepaid expenses, incomes receivable and marketable investments, and short-term securities. Current liabilities. Uh, Current liabilities includes sundry, creditors, bill payers, outstanding expenses, unclaimed dividend, advances received, income received in advance, provision for taxations, proposed dividend, installments of loan payable, bank overdrafts and cash credits. Quick ratio of asset test ratio. This is the ratio between quick current assets and current liabilities, alternatively quick liabilities. It is calculated by dividing quick current assets by current liabilities, which are quick current liabilities. Quick ratio is equal to quick assets by current liabilities, where conventionally a quick ratio of 1:1 is considered. Quick assets or quick liabilities. Quick assets are current assets as stated earlier, less prepaid expenses and investments. Quick liabilities are current liabilities as started earlier, less bank overdraft and income received in advance. Capital structured leverage ratios. These ratios indicate the long-term solvencies of a firm and indicates the ability of the firm to meet its long-term commitment with respect to repayment of principals on maturity in the predetermined installments and due dates, and periodic payment of interest being the period of the loan. Capital structure leverage ratios. The different ratios are debt equity ratio, proprietary ratio, debt to capital ratio, interest coverage ratio, debt service coverage ratio. Debt equity ratio. This ratio indicates the relatively proportion of the debt and equity in the financing the assets of the firm. It is calculated by the dividing the long-term debt by the stakeholders' funds. Debt equity ratio is equal to long-term debt stakeholders' fund, where generally financial institutes favor a ratio as 2:1. However, the standard should be applied having regard to the size and type and nature of a business and degree of risk involved. Long-term funds are long-term loans, whether secured and or unsecured, like debentures, bonds, loans from financial institutions. Stakeholders fund are the equity shares plus preference shares, capital plus reserves, and surplus minus fictitious assets. Example: primarily expense, past accumulated loss, discount on issue of shares, etc. Profitability ratio. This ratio measures the operating efficiency of the firm and its ability to ensure adequate returns on its stakeholders. The profitability of a firm can be measured by its profitability ratio. Further, the potential profitability ratio can be determined in relation to sales and in relation to investment. Profitability ratio reclaims to sales, gross profit margin, net profit margin, expenses ratio. Activity ratios. These ratios are also like efficiency ratio, assets utilization ratio in or turnover ratio. This ratio shows the relationship between sales and various assets of a firm. The various ratio under these groups are inventory, stock turnover ratio, debtors turnover ratio, and average collection period. Asset turnover ratio, creditors turnover ratio, and average credit period. So thank you so much for watching this presentation until now. Take care.